Joining me now, three of the best political analysts in the country. Pulitzer Prize-winning columnist, New York Daily News, CNN contributor Michael Goodwin, Keith Richburg, New York bureau chief, Washington Post, and syndicated columnist, CNN contributor, and also a professor of journalism at Lehman College in New York, Miguel Perez. Good to have you with us. Let's start with, and I think if you have not seen and heard this, it's really, I think in one, this doesn't happen often, but in one expression, Governor Blagojevich, 2 years ago at a September fundraiser, Democratic Party fundraiser, revealed himself, the context of politics in Illinois, and perhaps even a little bit of his character, fate, and the thinking of the audience he was speaking to. Listen in.
She said, now, son, that you won, whatever you do, be honest. And I told her, of course, Mama, I'll be honest, because that's how you raised me. She said, that's good, son, I know you will. Let me ask you another question. I said, what's that? Promise me, son, you'll never take bribes. I said, of course I'll never take bribes. Not only would that be dishonest, it would be illegal, and I would never do anything to dishonor the memory of my father.
Well, that's unfortunate that we don't have all of that soundbite, because he goes on to talk about, as a matter of fact, do we have the rest of the soundbite? We don't. I apologize. But that gives us some sense of what's happening. I mean, what's your reaction, Miguel?
Well, you know, this governor, anything can be expected from him, and at this point, it's a question of who he is going to take down with him. Just today, he made a statement, Lou, where he said he's going to be doing a lot of talking, and once he does that, if he
probably has a few people in Illinois nervous.
Absolutely, and if he decides to start, you know, if he fesses up and he says, listen, I was selling the position, but all these people knew about it, then we have a can of worms here.
You know, Barack Obama and his transition team were doing about as well as any, well, certainly I think doing better than nearly everyone except Reagan, doing certainly as well as Reagan in my judgment, in managing this transition. He's been knocked completely off course here, have an immense distraction, if not more, for this administration, because especially when we have such challenges. What are your thoughts?
Well, look, I think that, first of all, he waited 24 hours to say anything of, you know, that first day. He said, I had no contacts, and then rushed away. So I think right there he should have said something forceful about Blagojevich's behavior. And then the second day, when he did give her, third day, when he did give her, actually, I thought, good, smart commentary, the passion wasn't really there. There's no denunciation of the behavior. He's appalled and disappointed. And then thirdly, this issue of who else had contacts is sit out there and it's starting to smell a little bit. And all the reports coming from Chicago is that Rahm Emanuel almost certainly had direct conversations with Blagojevich.
Yeah, but he's also declared not to be a target.
Oh, no, I don't think he is a target, but there should be something embarrassing as almost, you know, it gets in the way now.
I guess one of the things that, you know, knowing who we in the national media are, you know darn well, if he had come out and said, you know, it's reprehensible and my people didn't have a thing to do with it, and it turns out there are two people who did have a discussion at the periphery, at the margin, my God, the national media would have made a circus out of that. So what the dickens is this guy to do? Or any guy in this similar situation?
Well, I think we do want to see him succeed. And you're right, the public does really approve of how he's... I like a lot of his choices. I think he's done a very good job. And I think...
Yeah, and I dislike a lot of his choices as well as like a lot of his.
Yeah, well, the main ones, I think, are well done. I mean, defense and the economic team. Right, so
it's his choice. I mean,
yeah, but I think they're really good choices for the country. So I agree with you. He's been doing well. He ought to get out in front of this story and not be trailing it.
All right.
Yeah, I agree. He was in a bit of a catch-22 here, because if he had come right out and said, we had nothing to do with this, nobody on my team had anything to do with it, and then 48 hours later, it turns out some junior aide had actually had a conversation with Blagojevich, it would have been bad.
What's the deal with the press covering him? 4 questions on this finally yesterday. There wasn't a single follow-up question. He danced, he spun, he ignored, and moved on, and there wasn't a single reporter with him in that conference who chose to follow up on a single question. They let him, I mean, this has got to stop.
Well, I think you're seeing a little bit more now aggressive questioning of him in the...
Man, I didn't see it. They looked to me like trained circus animals out there.
Well,
and when he snaps his fingers, they heal.
It was a lot tougher than it had been before that. It was the first press conference where it was things that he didn't want to talk about, and the questions were directed that way. But, you know, there are going to be some contacts that come out you know, Rahm Emanuel had to call the governor and say, I'm resigning my House seat. You know, Obama probably had to have some contact through intermediaries to say, I'm resigning my Senate seat.
My point is, the national media, these guys, it's one thing for to be in the tank for a year through a campaign, but now we're getting serious. This is about governance. This is the real deal. I mean, what is
and the media should have been questioning all, ever since this exploded in our faces a couple of days ago. We should have been all over the story, challenging everyone in the coming administration.
Are you embarrassed by the tenor, the approach here by the national media?
Yeah, we're in a honeymoon, and we don't seem to be able to get off it.
You know, the honeymoon is, I think we're all hopeful. This country is going through a lot. I don't think anyone, I won't say that. Because it's not true. It's just certainly inaccurate.
Somebody.
I don't think many of us would want anything other than this deal with Blagojevich to turn out extremely well for this. We don't need another mess in the White House. But we also don't need a mess to continue in the White House press corps in this presidential politics. How do you react? I mean, I'm really put off by it.
Well, look, I mean,
and I want to say to my friends and colleagues in the national media, you know, they can jump me all they want, but I got to tell you, you're not doing it.
Well, look, I think that this is the one story that sort of challenges the Obama control apparatus. They've been very good. There are almost no leaks during the whole thing. Now I think the press corps is going to have to get aggressive and going to have to develop sources who will sort of go off the reservation and tell them facts that Obama doesn't want said.
And maybe actually, even if they don't have leaks from the Obama administration, at least know the facts so they can demand accountability.
Can I just make one quick point, Lou?
Well, you know what? You can't.
No?
Not right now. But you know what? When we come back from this break, you certainly may.
All right.
All right. And we'll wait for that. Michael Goodwin is going to make a very important point. We'll have more with our panel in just a moment. Still ahead, the federal government not helping homeowners on our struggling housing market. And guess what? Ben Bernanke, the chairman of the Federal Reserve, is still telling you and me, all of us in this country, to stick it. We'll be right back.
Now you can own a piece of history, commemorating the day the world changed forever. Be one of the first to reserve Historic Victory, the commemorative plate honoring the election of the 44th president, America's first African-American commander-in-chief. His confident smile and kind eyes are an inspiration to us all. This priceless work of art features a triumphant president-elect surrounded by the American flag and spectacular celebration fireworks. Historic Victory is crafted of fine porcelain and richly accented in 22-karat gold trim. The election date and inscription, "Change Has Come," are displayed in gold text on this first-issue collector's plate. The back displays the seal of the American Historic Society and documents the historic electoral and popular vote totals on Election Day. This certificate of authenticity from the American Historic Society promises you'll own a collectible of the highest quality and integrity. It comes with a display stand for any desktop or curio case, or proudly hang it on any wall. This issue has been strictly limited to just 65 firing days. After that, the die will be destroyed forever. Due to the unprecedented demand, there is a strict limit of 2 victory plates per color.
I never thought this day would come.
And now we own a piece of history.
Our generation has spoken, and now this special treasure will be cherished as a prized family heirloom
for generations to come.
Yes, you can own a piece of history authorized by the American Historic Society with bonus display stand and certificate of authenticity for the first issue price of only $19.99. Call now.
Have your credit card ready when you call 1-800-916-3905. That's 1-800-916-3905. Remember, this issue has been strictly limited with only 65 firing days, and there is a strict limit of 2 victory plates per caller. So call now, 1-800-916-3905. That's 1-800-916-3905. Call now.
Well, we're back, and Michael Goodwin's about to make a very important point. We were talking about Chicago and the scandal.
Well, the point about why Obama needs to move quickly to clear this up is that in the report, for example, Fitzgerald, the U.S. attorney, says these are not all the calls. So there's speculation, even possibility, that, say, Emanuel was picked up on a wiretap talking to Blagojevich. Now, that's pure speculation, but that's the sort of thing that will happen the longer it goes on. That's why Obama does have to get the facts out quickly and not sit there and be the target of speculation.
And just to add, talk about the press getting more aggressive. I think you're going to start seeing it this weekend, perhaps Monday. Obama promised that they're going to give a list of all the contacts that were made. Well, it's Friday night now, and we haven't seen that list. Is it going to come out over the weekend? Is it going to come out Monday morning? So until that comes out, or the longer this period goes by, I think you're going to start seeing people ask, where's the list? Who had contact?
Do you remember back when Ronald Reagan took office, he won the election of 1980, came in, and the first thing that his press secretary did was announce to all of the folks in the White House press corps, enough with this. You're not going to be misbehaved. You're going to treat me with respect, the president, and the White House with respect. And I think that's an appropriate, and I'm not suggesting anything but that. But I'm also saying that there should be great respect for the press here. And we're losing our respect in the way in which we're handling ourselves and comporting ourselves. This will be the first time, in my opinion, that the national media has literally just sold out the concept of objectivity on a presidential election. There was partisanship rampant through the national news organizations, national newspapers, national news magazines, cable news networks, and the entertainment network news divisions as well.
I think what's happening is that we all want Obama to do well. And those of us in the media want him to do well.
Absolutely.
And so we don't want to deal.
I sign up for that.
Yeah, we don't want to deal with something that may take him off track. And it's unfortunate because it's our responsibility as journalists. Yeah. If it takes him off track, unfortunately, we have to report it. But that's what's happening. It's like we don't want to deal. We don't want to spoil this guy because we're all riding on the same wagon here. The whole country hopes that he does well.
It's in an interview with 60 Minutes, I want to turn to something else. Congressman Barney Frank, the chairman of the Financial Services Committee, talking with Leslie Stahl, said the bailout is more about propping up individuals than the companies. Listen into this. Oh, I'm sorry, we don't have the sound. So listen to me read this to you. I apologize. No, we're not propping up companies. That's your mistake, he said to Leslie Stahl. We're propping up individuals. The world doesn't consist of companies. The world are people. The country is people. So, I mean, when we are not propping up people very effectively. We reported here last night that the Help Now program, the mortgage program, designed to help 400,000 people. You know how many people they've helped? 100. 100. The government, the federal government, remains incompetent. It remains poorly led, and we are desperate for leadership and effectiveness and competency. Do you think that the president-elect will bring that? Is he capable of bringing it in time to deal with this crisis?
Well, he's not president until January 20th, as we've heard him say too many times, and it's basically an overstatement because there's no president now. I heard somebody say that the other day. I mean, we have no president. There's a vacuum there. So, yeah.
Until you review the executive orders that he's signing in the dead of night right now on a host of issues that are absolutely contemptible. It is disgraceful. So, yeah, we've got one. It's just not one we want.
Last-minute regulation changes. It happens with every administration, but
I don't care. Yeah. I'm so sick of this cowardly, incompetent, dysfunctional, ideologically bound, duplicitous conduct. I can't stand it. But other than that.
But Lou, to your question about will Obama be able to do this, effectively implement all these programs, don't forget, that was one of the questions about him in the campaign. He's never really run anything. He's never been an administrator. He's run a Senate office for a few years, basically. So it's going to be a challenge.
You know, when you say that, the echoes come back to me of the CEO president from the election of 2000. Right. George W. Bush went to Harvard Business School. You haven't seen an ad from the Harvard Business School saying, you know, this is our CEO president. We got it.
Yeah, it was said that senators don't make great presidents because they haven't run anything larger than the Senate office. But, you know, American people took a gamble on this guy, so we're going to have to wait and see.
Yeah, well, quite a gamble. Let's hope that something comes up here with let's hope we make our point, as they say on the craps table, I believe. Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate it. Coming up at the top of the hour, Campbell Brown, no bias, no bull.